Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today with me, my featured author is Mr. James Jennings. James, how are you doing today?
Just fine, Ryan. Glad to be with you.
Awesome, awesome. We're here to talk about your book, and we got a couple of neat things to venture into, which is exciting. What is the name of your book, the title of your book?
It's called Blue Wild Indigo. It takes its name from a wildflower that grows in Oklahoma in prairie country. And it's similar to true indigo, which is good for making dyes. Another name for blue wild indigo is false indigo, and it's false because it's not what it appears to be. And so that has some meaning in the book.
Oh, okay, cool. And I'm sure that's probably expressed in the book to some degree as well for those who
It is.
are not hail from Oklahoma like you yourself do.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the book.
fabulous. And what is the book about exactly? Of synopsis, obviously. Don't give away too much.
The book is a contemporary Western set in 1954 in a fictional town in a fictional county in southwestern Oklahoma. And the story plays out in the tumultuous summer following the handing down of the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education,
Mm.
finding segregation in schools to be unconstitutional. So the first thing to take from it, I think, is that uh, the early days of the civil rights movement played out not only in the East and the South, the North, but also in the West and in the Southwest.
Mm.
And so that's the backdrop against which the story plays out.
Oh, interesting. And what inspired you to want to write this story?
I like the place, I like the time, and I like the people. All of those things are things that I know. I grew up in southern Oklahoma, and I knew these people. I'm of the same vintage, and so I've been playing cowboys since, well, as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And so I've always been driven to write this kind of book, and here it is.
Very cool. So you've been probably had some, I would say, inspiration on the actual reading too. You've read Westerns and such like that as well.
I have. I learn a lot from old Westerns,
Yeah.
novels that were published back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. The language that they use is different. The way the characters talk, especially in Western novels, is different than you hear today. A lot of things, a lot of expressions, figures of speech that were very common in my youth have been lost to time. And so I can recapture them by reading those old books. And so I enjoy that immensely, and I try to use them. My editor in New York City often says to me, "Did you mean to say this? Is that what you meant?" And I then have to explain the way people talk in this part of the country and the way they did it back in the 50s.
That's awesome. Now, is it so far removed from like our current day language that people who were not born and raised during this time understood that type of lingo? Could they understand it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The context will make the language clear.
Okay.
You'll know, any reader will know what's being said, and will, I hope, enjoy the read. It has what I always consider the critical ingredients of a good book: action, adventure, and romance in an
Hmm.
exotic location.
There you go. I think one of my publishing coach when I was starting off, he said life, death, and love. If you have those three in the mix, your conflict, death, and love, if you have those three in the mix of a story, you're bound to strike some gold somewhere. So
This book has them all.
that's excellent. That's excellent. So you said what differences with writing this versus like someone who would write a more modernized tale? Like you said, the character's a little different. Is there anything like you had to change how you would write versus someone else would write, or?
No, I've written my another book, two other books that are
Oh,
modern
fabulous.
day books. You know,
Yeah.
my first novel was called The Light Most Favorable. It's a contemporary Western set in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
Second book is called Mirador, and deals with the Zapatista rebellion in Chiapas, the southernmost state of Mexico, in
Mhm.
1994.
Yeah.
And so the way you structure a story is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The language, of course, differs depending on where you are and who's talking. Uh,
Hmm.
but I hope I'm able to exist in all those realms and all those time frames.
Yeah. As someone who is adept to writing stories, it really doesn't, as long as you've got the core of it, the rest of it is decoration essentially at one point in time. As long as you've got the core of it, it should be a good story.
That's right. The story drives the novel. I was reading actually, it was in a master class by Salman Rushdie, and he was talking about story driving the book, and storytelling being essential to human existence. And so that's what this is about.
Yep, absolutely. People resonate with a good story, and they have for since the start of mankind, since we could communicate.
Exactly.
Stories have been huge. And I know from just like the whole cowboy sense, the oral traditions, Native Americans, the oral traditions, talking around the fire, sitting around the fire, expressing stories, telling stories is a huge element. So, did you kind of capture that also, like within like the kind of intimate storytelling within with your book as well?
I did everything you just said. There are intimate moments around a campfire along beautiful streams in rugged areas. I wanted there to be rugged areas where some of the horse back chases occurred, and so all of those things are in this book. And so it wasn't hard for me to come up with the story or the context. It's what I love.
That's awesome. Now, when did you start having the idea for Blue Wild Indigo? Was it a while back or pretty recent?
You know, people ask me that all the time, and it's kind of hard for me to say because I know it began early, like maybe 20 years ago. Ran across some notes the other day
Oh, wow.
from back then. But then during the course of the next score of years, there were two other books that came to life. You know, they intervened, took first place, and took control. And so then I went back to Blue Wild Indigo, and then I maybe got distracted and went back to it. So overall, it took me the better part of 20 years to get it done. That's not continuous labor, but as you know, it's a long, difficult, challenging, very satisfying process.
Yes, it is, and it can be extremely frustrating. Like for myself, my I have more ideas than I have time, and that is the biggest struggle I fight with. And I'm trying to focus, using the word focus as like my highlighted word of the year, focusing on one task at a time, because otherwise, I do a lot of work and get nothing done. I do a lot. So it sounds like, did you kind of struggle with that also during this process?
Absolutely. The hardest thing in the world is to focus on what you're doing. And, you know, Ernest Hemingway said that writing was easy. All you do is sit down at your typewriter and bleed. Well, you have to be focused to bleed
I love that. That's
in the
amazing.
way that you have to get it on the page. And so, and if you do it and do it well, it is like bleeding. It kind of drains the life out of you.
I find when I have a good writing session, it's such a strange feeling. It both empowers me, it fills me up, and exhausts me. I don't know what it is. I'm so happy I've done it. It's kind of like a good workout, almost, honestly. I feel stronger because I've done the work, but I'm tired and I need to pass out for a few hours because I'm just so exhausted. It's a very strange dichotomous feeling. I don't know what it is.
You're exactly right. It really drains the life out of you. You know, you can bring yourself
Yeah.
to tears as you're writing. You know, writing something very tragic or moving, and you're living it. You're
Yep.
doing what you want the reader to do, become immersed in the story. And
Yep.
if they do, then they feel the emotions of it, and it drains you.
I couldn't agree more. And several scenes, I can't even say how fun, I could say fun and fulfilling it is when you hand your book over to like my current novel that's worked on is in the hands of beta readers, and one reached out and said, "I am literally crying right now because there was a sad scene and very short chapter. You know, sadness is already such a heavy thing to deal grief and loss, such a heavy thing, and." I made the chapter very short, and the person's like, "I am literally crying right now. I kind of hate you
Yeah.
for making me cry this much." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but it had to happen. It was a part of the story." But I remember writing it, and that was one of the hardest chapters I've ever had to write, just because I kind of like step away every 3 or 4 sentences. If it doesn't bring you, if it doesn't make you feel something, the reader's not going to feel anything.
Well, congratulations. You
Yeah,
sounds like you did the right thing with the current book, and
Ryan.
I've done a lot of reading and studying of narrative immersion, and it sounds like that reader you were talking about experienced narrative immersion and was separated from the present world around her and was in the world of the story.
Yeah, I mean, have you experienced that with other? Have you had beta readers? I guess first
Oh
question.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Any
absolutely.
similar feedback you've gotten for hard times, fun times? You know what I'm talking about. Immersion.
Absolutely. And
Excellent. Good.
I had on my last novel, I had one reader tell me that she had become so scared she had to put it down for a while. And I thought, well, I'm
Dang.
sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
I wanted you to finish the book.
Dang.
But yeah, that's everybody reacts differently to these things. Some people find the book moving, some don't. Some
Yeah.
find it scary, some don't.
Yep.
Everybody's favorite color isn't blue.
Exactly. Art is hard to transcribe to everybody, and it's actually impossible to transcribe to everybody. But I love that everyone has some way of expressing themselves, and it's fun that we get to do that. We are driven, almost tortured, to do this. I mean, it's such a strange feeling. People have asked me, "Why do you do this?" I was like, "I don't know. I find it fun." Yet you complain about it. Yeah, I know. I'm strange. I don't know what to tell you. It's like I complain about it. I'm guilting myself for not doing something that I need a break from. But when I'm
That's
doing it,
exactly
I
right.
complain about it because it can be such a hard thing to turn what's up here in your head and put it into words, because language is a great tool for communicating, but sometimes there's certain emotions or ideas that are just so torturously painful to actually like communicate properly. It's so challenging. If it doesn't make sense to you on paper, who's it going to make sense to out there? So trying to articulate it can be such a huge job. It's monolithic, gargantuan job.
That's true. The good thing for us as writers is that once you get into
Yeah.
the story has a life of its own
And
and
that's
it
fun.
takes off. And to some degree, you're just trying to guide it. You're
Yeah.
trying to follow it because it seems to have a life of its own.
And that part, when you get to that part, oh my God, how much fun is that? I mean, like I try to plan. I can kind of plan. I'm more like bumpers on like a kid's bowling game. At that point, it's just the ball will go wherever it wants to at this point. As long as it stays within the confines of this, I'm golden. But it's so fun because sometimes I don't even know what's going to happen. And
That's the thing. You can end up on a track
yeah,
that you didn't plan and didn't expect and didn't know was coming.
yeah,
But it becomes clear that that's the track you need to be on. So that's exciting.
yeah, it is. It's really funny. I mean, I've had it where I've experienced like I had a character created just for basically the character was supposed to be there, so it was a tragic death. And what in the throes of the action that I was writing, I'm like, no, I have to change this. And so like mid sentence, I started changing it, and it ended up being a way better experience, a way more fulfilling chapter to write on the fly that I changed. I'm like, okay, so that plan went to hell. So cool. All right.
But it's
And
very satisfying when you get it right and you know you
yeah.
did. You
Yeah.
really feel good about it.
Hey everyone. Thank you for making it this far into the interview. Hope you're loving it. I just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about a gift for you all. A free book just waiting to be read. Just visit ryanmoliver.com and hit the button to receive a free book. It's that easy. Also, consider signing up for the newsletter. where each month you'll receive more fun reading to enjoy. That's RyanMOliver.com. RyanMOliver.com. And I don't know about you with editing. Editing, I have a kind of a funny relationship with. I start off kind of hesitant because I'm always so curious. I'm gonna crack this open. Am I gonna like what I find, or am I gonna hate what I find? Is the under the is there mold under here? Oh, it's pristine. Oh, great. So I always have the hardest time with getting in and editing my own work. Over time, I've gotten better. My skill has improved. Have you noticed that from writing book one to book three that your
No
skills
doubt.
improved?
And I have to say, rewriting is more fun. I should say less painful than writing, you know.
Yes.
And that's where you really feel like you're creating something beautiful when you have something that's there already and you're
Mhm.
trying to shape it more in a finer way and achieve what you're trying to achieve. That
Yeah.
part's really fun.
Yeah, building off what you've already created.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like making an extension on your house. So like, I could add more room here. This is awesome.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And what's really cool is I don't know how your relationship with your editor is, but mine was made really, really strong after my first book with him. He was curious or concerned about the motivation or the relationship between the creatures I have in my story and the people. And he goes, I need some kind of story to tie it together, whether it be a fable or something. And I'm like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, I thought it was pretty clear cut. And going through reading, I'm like, no, he's right. There has to be something. What's wild is in that 20-minute conversation with him, I wrote a story in about 2 hours, embedded it into the book, and that has been the basis for the remainder of the series. Without his insight, it would have not been as strong of a story. So it's so crazy. Have you ever had anything like that come back or you just like hit you like a ton of bricks?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that 100%. My editor is a woman, which I have found to be very useful
I'm sure.
and to give me a different point of view and a different sensitivity to things. And but she's a brilliant lady and very capable. And so sometimes when I get that first look at what she's suggesting, I'm thinking, no, no, you just didn't get it. And then I look at it in greater depth and more precisely, and I think, okay, all right, you win again. You're right. And so I trust her and I value her work.
Yeah, and I love that you've got your a female editor, and one big reason I've used beta readers, both women and men, is because I want that different perspective, and I have different age groups too. I've got someone in their, I guess, mid to late 20s, and I've got someone in their 60s, and a couple in their mid 30s. So there's a wide range of age, gender. That way, hopefully, perspective wise, I hit the gambit most of the time. I'm not hitting for 100% because the story's not going to resonate with 100% of the audience. That's not how art works.
That's exactly right.
If you hit it most of the time, the big thing I want to just is communicate. Am I communicating effectively? And that's what editors do so well, so freaking well.
You know, the thing you hear from them, everybody in the publishing industry all the time is clarity, clarity, clarity. You know, it has to be clear. You have to know what's happening. You have to
Absolutely.
know who the people are who are in this scene, why they're there, and what they're doing. And so that sounds very simple, and of course it is. That's why it's so true.
Yeah. Simple. It can be very challenging though. It's simple but not easy. Simple
That's
but not
exactly
easy.
right.
Yeah, simple but not easy. So something I want you to kind of speak to on, you just wore, it said you got an award recently. Can you go into the award for the book?
Yes, I've gotten two awards. Actually, the
Oh,
first
congratulations.
was the novel being named a distinguished favorite by the Independent Press Awards, and I'll be in New York City in May to receive that award.
Wonderful.
And just this week, I learned that the novel had been named the winner of the Spur Award for the Contemporary Western Novel of the Year by the Western Writers of America.
Wow.
And so I'll be going to the annual conference of the Western Writers of America in June to pick up that award. So I've been twice blessed.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. That's fabulous. That is
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
cool. So cool. Do you do any I guess readings or anything to when did the book come out actually? Let's start with there. When did the book
The
come
book
out?
came out on November the 15th.
Okay.
I did a reading at that time,
Yeah.
but I've done a lot of readings over the years
Cool.
in New York. There's a bar in New York City in the East Village called the KGB Bar, and uh, and I think it has that name because at some time in the past it was the Communist Party headquarters in New
No
York.
way.
Yes. And so they had a great literary program there. It's a literary hangout. And my friends in the New York Writers Workshop arranged readings. And I did that several times. And so that's been a lot of fun, I have to say.
That's awesome. Now, I'm not read a whole lot of Western books. I've been recently in the last few years watching more Western films, and I know from watching Western films, it starts off on a kind of a slower rise, and then it slowly gets into the climax of the story in a Western movie. Similar how you piece it together in your books.
Similar to some degree, but a couple of things, Ryan. I mean, it is a Western, but not a traditional Western.
Gotcha.
It's not what they used, in the old days they called those two
Spaghetti
real
Western.
Westerns odors,
Odors.
Oater.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because they had horses in there who ate oats, and so they called them odors. Well, that's not the kind of novel this is. This is not a traditional no, Western novel. There's a place for the latter in the world, but this is a higher concept Western novel.
Mm,
And I hope it's literary. I intend for it to be literary and for the writing to be appealing, not just to be clear, but to be beautiful.
yes.
I want people to think that this is beautiful and that they enjoy the beauty of it. And
Absolutely.
so, but there's a lot of action in it. There is romance, there's love, and there's loss, and there's friendship, and betrayal and all of those things. And so all of the things that make us move. William Faulkner said the only thing that's worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself.
Mm,
And I hope to have tapped into that wisdom here. I think I have. And it turns out, I think, to be very satisfying and very beautiful.
fabulous. And what inspiration has like driven you to create the characters you have? Like any particular characters from your own past or from literary works or movies that has driven you to make those characters?
I would say all of the characters have some origin in my own past.
Excellent.
People I have known. You can't help doing that. Even if you
It's
set
impossible.
out to not do it, you can't avoid it because if you're going to write a character who's a sheriff in a small town in western Oklahoma in 1954, I knew a guy like that, and so I can't help but be guided by that. So whether you're consciously being autobiographical or not, you are being autobiographical to some degree.
I completely agree with you. Several of the characters I write, especially people who are close to me, end up being in the story without me or them knowing it until someone points out, "Hey, this is something that he or she would have said or would have done." I go, "Oh, you know what? You're probably right," and that's probably them actually, or I've gained their inspiration. Anyone close to you read the stories and go, "I think I know this person."
Yes, that has actually happened
Does it?
to some degree. And I try to remain mute as much as possible and not, try not to interpret my own work as much as possible. I find in doing book clubs, and I've done a few of them,
Mhm.
uh, some of these readers know more about my own books than I do. And they know the characters in a way that I don't know them and
That's
and
funny.
they have insights into the characters and the story that I don't have. And I'm always
Nice.
astonished by that and flattered by it. I think that is a sign of success. I hope it is.
I think it is. If you can move your readers to almost be, I'm going to say the word obsessed with, at least for a short period of time, where they want to learn everything they can about said character, you've done your job. You've done a great job. And if they want to know more and more and more, oh, A, it's good for you. You get to sell more books, but B, they just connect with you in the story more. Now, your books, do they connect at all? The three you have?
N no, not in terms of story.
Okay.
They are similar
Right.
in thematically, I would say.
Yeah.
The first book has to do with a man losing everything and recreating himself, which I've always been intrigued by and
Yeah.
admired people who are able to do that. The second book is a kind of a study on courage and what constitutes courage and how does one find courage and what happens if you don't show courage? And can you regain yourself and your self-respect if you don't? And then the third one, has to do with love and loss and friendship and betrayal and justice. I was one fellow I talked to said, all of your books have to do with justice. And I thought, well, I don't know that I thought of it quite that way, but that's not a bad thing. If that's true, then I'm happy about it.
Yeah. So at least you have kind of a theme, a thread of a theme kind of going through. And it sounds like justice is one of it. It's funny that it wasn't even really intended. It just kind of became one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
you were talking about people being enthralled with the book. It's been fun. I've had a couple of people, one a man and one a woman, tell me that they stayed home from work the day after they started the book to finish the book. And I thought that was about as high a compliment as I've ever received. And so I'd like to, I hope that enthusiasm is universal. We'll see.
Yeah, I've definitely that's a very rare, I think that's a very rare compliment I have not heard because I've had several people go, I want to stay home from work and read this, finish reading this, but someone actually did it in this case. Two
Yeah,
people.
yeah, two people.
That's
So
well for this book or for a different one?
for this book,
Oh, wow.
Blue Wild Indigo,
Wow.
I haven't gotten the bill yet, but we'll see what that turns out to be.
That's incredible. So going forward, you have three books out. I know you just came out in November, but as authors, we're always percolating something. We're always cooking up something else. Are you looking at doing a fourth or going forward with another other projects?
I am. I have another project underway,
Awesome.
and it's called Travertine Rim. You know, the stone travertine
I do.
that's used for flooring and tile. It's the stone from which the Roman Colosseum was made. And
Interesting.
it's used as building material because of its strength and
Yeah,
durability. And that stone is quarried in many places, but including southwestern or southeastern Oklahoma.
really.
And so the travertine rim uh, speaks of the of a creek where there is a rim of travertine. There's a creek in Oklahoma called Travertine Creek. It's
Wow.
called Travertine Creek because it has a travertine rim, which in my mind gives the durability, this feature of Earth, strength and durability. And so I'm using that in personal relationships to establish a theme and a tone.
That's excellent. And it's going to be another fictional
Fictional,
contemporary
it's
Western.
modern day. It's going to call on my Chickasaw ancestry to some degree.
Hmm.
It will involve a character who is a Chickasaw light horseman, which is the police force for the Chickasaw Nation.
Fabulous. Well, I was going to say, I saw in your bio here that you said you have a Native American background. I was wondering
Yes.
how does that affect your writing or impact your writing?
I think it affects it a lot because I live in Oklahoma because my ancestors were removed to Oklahoma in the 1830s.
Wow.
That's why I describe myself as a fifth generation Oklahoman. I mean, uh, we we came here on the Trail of Tears in the 1830s, and some of us, like me, stayed. And so I'm still here. And so everything about the small towns that I know it comes from. towns in the Chickasaw Nation, the modern day Chickasaw Nation.
Yeah.
And so I see myself and think of myself very much as Chickasaw.
Nice.
And so, yes, that has a profound effect on my writing.
That's fabulous. Now, do you put characters who are, it sounded like you did for this next one, but the other books are, do you have Native American characters?
Yes, in the first one I do. In the second book, which is set in Mexico, there are a lot of Native American characters in the sense that they are native people who live in southern Mexico.
Oh, okay. I think it was Mayan.
They're Mayan,
Mayan. Yeah.
and so there are several subsets of that broad group of people and several languages that they speak. And I've been there, and
Cool.
it's one of the few places I've been where I've heard people speak a language that bears no resemblance to anything I've ever heard before. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was an interesting process going down there, preparing myself to write that book and getting it written.
Well, that was about my next question was what kind of research are you having to do? Because, this, yes, it's fiction, but it's based in an area that is existed through, obviously through time. And was there any research you had to do other than just like the locale? I mean, you went down to Mexico to check out some very interesting things.
Yes, and I knew since the book was about Chiapas and about the Zapatista rebellion down there, the first question people were going to ask me was, well, have you been there?
Mm,
And so I decided I had to go. My wife was not that thrilled about the idea, but I did, and to bolster my own commitment, I took my son, who was I think 21 at the time, and
perfect.
so we spent a week or so down there, did quite a bit of traveling.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a very beautiful country, and it did make a difference to go down there and see it firsthand. The first book has to do with ranching in Arizona. I've spent weeks in on trail rides in southern Arizona. And the current book, of course, is in Oklahoma, and I've spent most of my life here. So
Yeah, it makes more sense to have boots on the ground. And I've talked to several authors who have based their books, stories in different parts of the country and or world. And they have said from so many different sources, if you can go there, it is such a different, it's a feeling too. You go there, you just get
yes,
a feeling for the place, the neighborhoods, the establishments, the businesses, the nature, the heat, the smell, all those things you need to translate to create clarity in the communication of the setting for the readers. It only makes sense for the author to have been there to at least once in their life to draw from. Otherwise, it's almost like they're making a report, almost like they're doing a report.
that's exactly right. And when you go there, Ryan, you get ideas that you hadn't anticipated getting. You learn things that you didn't know, and so you develop angles for the book, and you plumb the depths of something that you hadn't plumbed before. And so it's really essential, and it's fun too.
Oh yeah, traveling in general is just fun. It can be a little stressful, it can be tiring, but I mean, when you get home and you walk away, you go, "That was a great adventure, and I will remember that forever." And then people like us who want to reflect on it and put it into stories, it's just better for we get to enjoy it, and then other people get to enjoy it as well. It's-
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So I'm very pleased that I have been all the places involved in all of my books, and I plan to continue that. I couldn't think of doing it any other way.
No, I would think not. I would think not. Besides the beta readers and everything, it's been out since November. It's been out. Have you gotten much reviews on it? Obviously, you got the awards, which is fantastic, but like Amazon reviews, anything like
Yeah, I've
that?
gotten several reviews
Good.
on Amazon, and it's done. The book has done very well. It's been a
Good.
number one bestseller in this area. You know,
Fabulous.
kind of a local thing, but it's been extremely well received. Has
Mhm.
gotten some good press in the news, and so yeah, I'm very pleased with the way it has gone, and very happy about it.
That's awesome. Are you selling more in person or I guess physical copies or digital copies or
Judging from the action on Amazon, I think a lot of the sales are Kindle books, you
okay.
know. Those are very popular. These days, publishers seem to be releasing all three at the same time. I mean, hardback, paperback, and Kindle.
Yes.
And so, which I think is good. I always like paperbacks. They're just more manageable, you know.
So I like a physical copy in my hand. My wife's big into Kindles, and it's probably a good thing because our entire bedroom will be filled to the brim with books. She reads books like they're, I mean, she consumes books like they're food. It just has to happen every weekend, or it's she can't have a good weekend at that point. Yeah, but yeah, Kindle, you almost need to you almost need to release all three, and then nowadays I've even heard a report that audiobooks are actually exceeding ebook sales, which I thought was fascinating. I heard a report from someone who's in the business. Do you plan on doing any audiobooks?
I'm doing it right now, in fact.
Awesome.
I was in the studio earlier this week, and I'll tell you what, it's harder than writing a book. I mean, it sounds easy. All you do is go in and read it, right? Well, every word, every syllable has to be right.
Yeah.
The inflection has to be right. And so it's hard to get through a paragraph without flubbing something, you know. And so I'm doing it myself. And I don't know if
Good.
it'll make it to the marketplace, but I'm hoping it does. At least I'm going to give it a try. It is fun, and it's interesting. And I think as the author, I do have a take on it that others might not have. So anyway, we'll see where that goes. I hope I succeed with that.
Yeah, audiobooks are its own animal. The te I found because I did produce my own. I'm producing both of mine. I did one. I got it up for free already, and the to produce it to on Audible, it takes a little extra technical savvy that I just did not have at the time. I'm learning. I plan on releasing it to Audible here pretty in the next couple months, few months as I'm producing it. But I remember doing the same thing. I had to, the editing process was extensive. Recording was extensive, but I will say I had a lot of fun doing it because you get to almost revisit your own story again. And because you forget what you wrote. It sounds so stupid to say. Like I've people like, well, you remember when you
Yeah.
wrote this? I'm like, no, I really don't. In the
Oh,
flow,
absolutely.
yeah, I just wrote this down and it sounded great and I kept it and I moved on. So it's great to kind of rehash and play the different parts. I played all the different, parts and different voice inflections. So I got to kind of stretch some skill sets and muscles I never really had an opportunity to do. And I'm finding I'm loving it. So I'm looking forward to this next
It is
project.
fun, and it's also fun to get good feedback from the recording engineer. You know,
Yeah.
like that's really good. You know, I like that, and so it's always good to get a pat on the back. You know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Compliments are fabulous. And a lot of authors I talk to are pretty humble. They don't like to have too much attention on them. It's a weird relationship with our stuff. We don't want the attention because it might be negative, but we want the attention because it might be positive.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. I want people to read my books, and I want them to like them. But I understand if you're going to put yourself out there, you got to live with what you get.
Yeah, that is 100% fact. So you're actually recording in a recording studio?
Yes, I am.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. That's
I got
exciting.
a good friend who's a recording engineer, and so that's worked out really well for me. And and I have to say, the quality of the recording is very high, and even better. You know, when he cleans it up and dresses it up, doing whatever he does. I mean, it's very well done, I
Yeah.
think.
You can do some crazy stuff with audio, and I'm learning more and more every day. It's becoming a almost like a second hobby, third hobby, fourth hobby for me. So but it takes so much energy and knowledge and background. So commendment to your recording friend, and thank God
Yeah.
he's helping you out because it's a lot. So that's awesome. You can get that out there. Do you know about when it might come out?
Well, I'm pushing on it now, so I'm hoping it will come out within the next couple of months.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, I hope so. I really do hope so. Yeah, I'm sure people are actually very curious where they can get this award-winning, fabulous book called called Blue Wild Indigo. So where can people get copies of your book and books, actually?
Yeah, well, you can get them online at Amazon.com under James Jennings. And I should say also, my author's website is at James Allen, Allen Jennings.com. But so probably the easiest way to get them is on Amazon. But a Libris and BarnesandNoble.com. Some bookstores here locally have them, but bookstores are not what they used to be, in terms of stocking books. And so most of it's online now.
Sure.
And so all the usual sources, Indie Bound, you can get them on there and that sort of thing. So
Excellent.
pretty easy to find.
Good. And then you doing any in-person reads or signings or sales, anything like that?
I'm going to the Enid Authors Fest. There's a town called Enid, Oklahoma, which is about 90 miles northwest of here.
Hmm.
In April, I will be there and
Fabulous.
doing a signing, and with much greater commitment and vigor than I thought I might, having now received these two awards. It encourages me and
Yeah.
gives me vigor.
Yeah, and then make sure that is known on some kind of visual paraphernalia. That way people can say, oh, something interesting people have gotten awards for. I need to check this out.
Absolutely. Well, I
Yeah.
plan to do that.
Yeah. A little
We
bit of
have
a
to
neon
engage
light.
in shameless self-promotion, as writers. But
Yes, we do. And that's the hard part. I'm trying to do that too, but it sounds like you've got some backing, which is fabulous. It's going to help you sell some stuff.
I do. I've been very fortunate, I have to say.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on those two. That's a big victory for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been fun and very satisfying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it sounds like you got a lot more fun coming up the pipe here when you with the other books coming out, or with the next book you're working on.
I don't seem to be able to quit, so I'll just keep it up, I guess.
Writing is a long-term, lifelong addiction, I find. I like you can't put it down.
Yeah, even if you tried, even if I tried, I don't think I could succeed. I might not write well, but I plan to write something pretty much all the time. So
Yeah,
stick with it.
and getting comfortable with not writing well because you know what? At the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying it, that's why we sit down and do this because we like doing it. And if
That's
other
right.
people's do too, that makes it even better.
Well, let's just keep going then. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm not going to stop. I don't think you're going to stop. So I'll
No.
stop when you stop, okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're on. You're on.
Cool. Well, James, I really appreciate you coming on here. This has been fabulous. Thank you for coming on and talking about your book, Blue Wild Indigo.
Very pleased to be here. I've enjoyed it greatly, Ryan. Thanks a million.
You're very welcome. And future tense, when you get your other books out, you want to do another chit chat and talk about your next adventure, hit me up and we will do this again.
I'll be giving you a call.
Fabulous, fabulous. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. Go out and get James Jennings award-winning book titled Blue Wild Indigo. It is out there for you all to enjoy. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, stay mighty and keep reading.